Hi everyone, my name is Shifa Nazir and I'm a GMC registered doctor from India who will be joining the NHS soon in August 2023. Right, so to tell you a bit about myself, I cleared my PLAB 2 exams in November 2022 and got my registration by December. So all that was quite quick. After that, I began this long, tiresome and intense journey of job application, which lasted for about 5 whole months, where I applied for 250 plus jobs. Yeah, that's right, 250 plus jobs. So it was quite a long journey for me, and with all those ups and downs, with all those desperation, but luckily and thankfully I was able to secure an interview at the end of 5 months, and with the help of a million people who were kind enough to help me, I finally cracked the interview and here I am. So while I was on this journey, this two and a half year long journey of PLAB pathway and finally getting into the job, I realized that there are so many international medical graduates, especially the place where I come from, India. A lot of doctors are wondering how to apply for exams, how to study for exam, how to apply for jobs. So there's all these different questions that's bombarding them while they're on this journey. So I thought, why not help my friends and my colleagues who are on the same journey and try to make things easier for them. So that's what I will be doing in the next couple of videos that I plan to make. So before I begin, I just want to let you know that this is not going to be one of those highly statistical, informative, detailed videos. No, that's not for me. But what I'll be focusing on is those intricate little things, which mostly no one tells you about and which you have to find out on your own by doing that extensive research, which is time consuming. And I'm going to concise all those little stuff and focus on those tiny little things, which is going to help you and go a long way in finally getting you into that job, or helping you crack that interview, or boosting your CV. Right, so that's what I'll be dealing with, and stay tuned. Okay, so let's get into our first video, which is going to be about how to apply for NHS jobs. So there are a number of websites which you can use to apply for NHS jobs. There's NHS jobs website per se, which is the jobs.nhs.uk, and then there's the main chunk of jobs which come in Trac Jobs, which is Trac Jobs. And then again there's NHS Scotland, NHS Ireland, and each of these trusts and hospitals have their own websites wherein they will advertise for jobs which are available within those hospitals, and you can apply directly in those websites. Yeah, so there are plenty of options to apply for jobs, but what international medical graduates like me and you would usually use is the NHS Jobs and the Trac Jobs. So this provides for the major chunk of the jobs within the NHS. So you're probably not going to miss out on any opportunities if you're well and good and steadfast in these two websites. All right. So I'm just going to take you to the Trac Jobs website first, because that's where most of the applications takes place. Even if you are trying to apply for a job in NHS Jobs, which is about similar, but they're going to divert you into Trac Jobs website. So it's good to be professional, a pro in Trac Jobs. So I'm just going to share my screen with you and talk you through to how to efficiently apply for jobs in Trac Jobs website. So once you type in the website, you will be opening up in this page, and then you can just log in. And if you have an account, you can go ahead and sign into it, or there's an option to create another. So once you log in, you will find a page that opens up, which looks similar to this. So this is my account, and what I want you to focus is on the find a job icon. So there are two options. You can either literally job hunt, you can type in and search for jobs, or you get notification via email on a weekly or a alternate day basis, so which is really really great because it saves a lot of time. So I do highly recommend that you have this option clicked in. So if we do actually want to search for jobs, there you go. Click on job search, it takes you an entire and to a new page. So if you want to focus on the medical and dental, and there you go. So this is the page we are looking for. So they have a lot of options. You can enter in keywords, you can type what specialty you want to work in, meaning typing in any occupation what you want, and also the most important thing is grade. So let's look at that first. So when you click grade, you'll see a number of grades from junior doctors to consultants, so that's a lot of them. But what is applicable to us would be the ones around here. And if you are experienced a couple of years, then you can even apply for senior clinical fellow. So that would be our options. So let me just start with the FY2. Oh, before I forget, I just wanted to take a look at this. So there is an option for clinical attachment. It was very interesting. I never knew about this until I started applying for jobs. So there is actually an option to apply for clinical attachment in the Trac Jobs website. So let's go to our FY2. So once that bar is done, let's open this up. Any occupation in mind. So obviously there's a lot of specialties mentioned here: gastro, geriatric medicine. So if you have been experienced in a particular specialty and you want to pursue in the same, no worries, just shortlist it down here. Okay, so I'm not going to fill anything in there, and the keywords, I've never used this bar, so I won't be going into details of it. And where would you like to work? Yes, so this is very important, because if you've already done a clinical attachment somewhere and you want to be updated with any job adverts that come from that trust or from that hospital, you want to make sure you type it down here, any organization or any particular location. So they have almost all the locations in the UK. But if you want to keep your options wide, then go ahead and just skip those two columns. It's going to be fine. So I'm just going to type in foundation year 2 because I don't want to narrow down my searches too much. So since you've written foundation year 2, you do not want to go up here and type junior clinical fellow or an SHO. You do not want more than one grades to come up in a search, because it's going to narrow down your search too much that you will be hardly getting any jobs. So let's keep our options wide. Just type in FY2 and there you click search. Let's wait for the results. Okay, so you can see there are a couple of jobs. There's only one page of jobs. Probably it'll come up again in the next few days, so that's okay. And so you can see that is a LAS FY2 in emergency medicine. So there are a couple of short forms which come in with related to NHS job posts. You might want to look that up and make a note of it somewhere. So okay, so this is an FY2 in emergency medicine, which sounds good. So there's an FY2 in respiratory medicine, which also sounds good. Okay, so let's just take a look at what the jobs are. So research fellow in obstetrics, medical bank locum. So these bank jobs are not something that you want to apply for at the first place. Probably you don't belong there. You cannot apply because they require prior NHS experience, as well as you need to have the work visa and stuff. So that's not something that we'll be looking for. Let's just skip that. Clinical practitioner. So clinical fellow in general internal medicine. So I can see around there are about 7 to 8 jobs which we can apply to. Most of them are banks. So let me just mention that there's an option for sorting. So since this has just one page, it's not going to be a problem, because you can apply for 7 jobs in 2 to 3 days, and it's not going to be you're not going to you can obviously meet the deadline within those days. That's okay. But if on a fine day there are plenty of jobs and there's 3, 5, 6 pages of jobs for an FY2, you want to make sure that you can efficiently apply for all the jobs by meeting the deadlines. So this is a good option. You can just sort by the newest. So the ones which have the latest end dates would be, put up at the end. So you can just go to the bottom of the page or the last page if there are a number of pages. So let me pick at the last job here, because this was probably released way before and this is going to expire way before the other job. So I'll probably start with this. So LASFY2 in respiratory medicine. Let's go. So this job, this provides all the details that you want to know: the salary, the closing date, this is something that you want to focus on, and the contract type and the hours of work. So it's mandatory that you go through this entire stuff so you know what the job demands and if you fit into this job. That's extremely important. And once you've done that reading, I want you to go down, scroll down, and there are a number of PDFs, if you notice, that come with the job advert. So I'm not quite sure if you have to go through all of them. Yes, you do if you're shortlisted for the interview, but at least to save some time, you have to go through at least the first 2 to 3 PDFs which talk about the job description and person specification. Why do I have to read all that? Mainly because that you want to know if you fit into this job. You don't want to be like, you are overqualified for the job or you're way underqualified for the job. So you don't want to struggle once you get into the job, because it's obviously going to be for like 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and you don't want to struggle. So you want to make sure you're applying for the right jobs. That saves a lot of time. You don't have to waste time applying for jobs which you won't even be shortlisted for. So that's a good way to decide which jobs to apply. So you can just click in this job description and person specification, and as you read the PDF, you'll notice that there will be paragraphs which describe what they expect from you. They are your duties, your responsibilities, how your shifts are going to be like, how your rotas are going to be like. So they'll explain everything in very brief manner. So you want to definitely read through that. And then once that is done, the person specification PDF, it's usually 2 different PDFs, but sometimes it comes combined. You can just scroll down and see that for yourself. So in the person specification, you will see that there will usually be a box which shows you what criteria you need to get into this job and for you to be shortlisted, and the marking basis, and how you're going to be assessed. If it's at the interview you're going to be assessed if you have these criteria, or is it by reading your job application that you're going to be assessed. So everything will be described in detail in usually a box. So you want to make sure that you go through that person specification and make sure that you at least meet the necessary criteria, the essential criteria, which is extremely important. So if you are able to meet most of the essential criteria, well, that's great. So just go ahead and apply for this job. So don't get too carried away by the the desirable criteria, because obviously that's there for a reason. If the interviewer feels that most of you have all the essential criteria, then they're going to go up and see if anyone stands out in their desirable criteria. So that's always there, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. So if you feel that you meet most of the essential criteria in a particular job, and you have the experience, you have the qualification, the communication skills, just don't wait. Go ahead and apply for the job. And also, it is equally important to read through the desirable criteria. And even if you don't meet all that, that's okay. You can always mention that you're working towards it and that you want to achieve them in your short-term goals. So that's something for later. So let's go back to the job application. So once you've done all that and you feel this job is the one for me, let's go ahead and apply now. So that takes you back to the Trac Jobs website. That opens out like this, and then you can fill in all the details here. It's quite basic, self-explanatory. What I want you to focus is you make sure you fill in this correctly, the visa status, because obviously the visa status does have a role, because if it's a very short-term job and you have a visa, you're definitely more likely to be shortlisted. Okay, so once you're done with the first page, it's going to take you into another page that says what you don't want to do with the CV. If you want to start with a blank CV, or if you want to upload some previous CV for any job which you have already applied, or if you want to take the online CV. So as I mentioned earlier, it's always good to have the online CV updated, all the information, all the experience, everything updated in the online CV, so that you can use it as a standard for any sort of job application. Okay, what do you mean by any sort of job application? So over the months, as I was applying for jobs, I realized that there are basically, this is something that I found out from my own research and understanding, there are 3 types or patterns of job applications. Okay, so I'm going to show you each of these, 3 of them. That's what I've seen so far. So I'm going to put up 3 of them in the screen so that you can make a note of it. So why do you have to know it? For example, there are A, B, C patterns, and A pattern might be concise. The pattern of B might be a bit long. Okay, so if you use the blank CV for everything, it's going to take you hours and hours to apply for even a single job, because you'll have to literally type in or copy paste all the information, which is time consuming, so you're not going to do that. And second option, if you take the online CV, yeah, that is a good idea, because it will fill most of the tabs, most of the answers, but still there will again be major chunks that will not be answered, so you literally have to go in and type it again or copy paste it again, waste of time. So the third option, if you are able to correctly choose from a previous job that you applied, okay, then you will save so much time, and just really, this is really important, because it will save a lot of time. You don't have to type in anything. All you have to do is go down and change the supporting information according to the job advert, and that's all you have to do. So it saves a lot of time if you are able to correctly find out what pattern each trust has and then apply similarly. So if you have not understood anything so far, that's okay. I'm going to put the patterns of job applications on the screen so that it makes a bit more sense. And once you start applying for jobs, you'll appreciate what I'm saying right now. So just make a note of the next screen that I share. So I've just opened up 3 job applications which are entirely different from each other. So scrolling up, you can see that each job would have 4 sections: personal details, application questions, references, and equal opportunities questions. So the first and the last 2 are self-explanatory, and it's quite simple. And it's also the same for every job application. So what differs is the center part, the application questions. So this one is for a job in Manchester Foundation Trust, and you can see that the application question starts with education, professional qualifications, relevant training courses, and ends with the supporting information and armed forces, right? So it's a good thing that if you have one CV, at least one job application filled in with this pattern, you won't have to worry about typing over most of the things, because most trusts use this pattern, including Manchester Foundation Trust, University Hospitals of Dorset, or Bath's NHS Trust. So most of them use this pattern. So if you have at least one application filled in with this pattern, it makes things a lot easier. Okay, so let's move on to the next pattern. So I've opened up another pattern of job application. You can see that this is a bit more elaborative job application. And so if you're applying for a job for University College of London Hospitals, you would need to have a previous application which corresponds to this. All right, so you need to choose accordingly. And at the end, I would like to mention that there's a clinical logbook option. So if it's compulsory, if available, so most of us have done internship and have a clinical logbook. So it would be a good thing to already have a copy of it and a PDF format of it. So when you do that, just make sure that you've blurred all the confidential details, any patient name, patient details. So you have to make sure that it's all blurred and nothing shows up in the PDF. All right, So the third pattern is what hospitals like Guy's and St. Thomas uses. Alright, so you can see it's not very elaborative, but it is again different from the first pattern, because the pattern, once you open up, you'll realize the patterns within, the boxes within are different. So it's only a matter of knowing what to choose for which trust, and that definitely you will develop, or after you apply like 2 to 3 jobs, so that's going to come naturally, nothing to worry about. So it would be wise if you could just make a note of these 2 patterns: pattern number 1, pattern number 2, and pattern number 3. So far we've seen how to apply for jobs. Okay, so in the similar pattern, you can apply for like any number of jobs that you want to, and even if you don't feel like completing a job right away, that's okay, because as long as you save it, everything's going to be cool. And when I mentioned saving, I do have to give you an alert, because sometimes the browser can get refreshed, or the internet or the connection might go wrong, something can happen. So if at all you have typed something long enough that it might take hours to type it again, before saving it, it's always a good idea to just copy the entire paragraph or whatever you've written. But if it's a huge paragraph that you've literally taken so much time and effort to type it down, you don't want to realize that once you click save, the network wasn't refreshed, or something crashed and the entire stuff is lost. So that happens a lot of time, both in Trac Jobs and NHS jobs. I'm not sure why, maybe it's something wrong with my connection, but I just want to give you an alert that it would be a great idea if you can save or copy the stuff before clicking the save button. So in case it gets wiped off, you're still cool, you don't have to type it again, you can just paste it. So that's a tip. Yeah. So as you apply for jobs, you'll realize that you will have to meet the deadlines. Okay, so it's always good to make sure that you have the deadline in mind. And unfortunately, the job doesn't necessarily wait till the deadline date, because if you read through the entire job advert, at the end, or most of the jobs mention that they have the right to close in the applications if they've received sufficient amount of applications. So that seems fair, but you have to be on alert, and then make sure the ones which have earlier deadlines would be filled earlier, and you will not wait till and it's not a good idea to wait till the last date to fill in something, because obviously the job's not going to wait. And it's totally fine if some of the jobs get past deadlines. So what you want to do is efficiently apply for most of the jobs. You cannot literally apply for all the jobs, because it's something that's not possible, I believe, or you'll have to literally be in front of the screen for like 8 hours or 6 hours per day, which might not be, I don't know if it's feasible. So just trust the process and apply efficiently for as much jobs as you can. Okay, so regarding the job application as such, I will be describing it in detail in my next video. So hope you all could gain something from this video, and thank you so much.